Hey everybody, it's Steve with Sky194, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop in and visit and check out my video. And we're here at Laguna, Seca with the Ferrari 488 GT3 EVO, and had a request for a setup, and I'm trying to do a little bit more setups for the Ferrari just because, it's one of those cars where I haven't really given it too much attention and setups ever since the update, just a little here and there. But to be honest, I have given it attention. It's just that wasn't confident in getting the car to handle the way I want it to handle and getting the performance out of it. But it's again just like all of us. The more I practice with it, the better I get, and setup wise and driving wise. So this place here at Laguna, I haven't been over it in a while. And in case you're new here, we're getting new subscribers all the time. I like to just go over a little, some little tips as I use. Again, I'm sure there's it's just the way I do it, but there's some, you might be able to pick up a few things that might help you. So we're just going to jump behind the car and make a lap here. Again, these sausages around here are deadly, so you need to stay away from them like the plague. So please do that. And I run it out here to about the 3, just before it, right there. And I run it in pretty hard, and kind of like a double apex. I shoot for this inside curb here, and then let it drift out a little bit. And then I touch the brake a little bit, a lot of times mid-corner, and throttle to try to get the back end to swing around, rotate as quick as I can to shoot off the next turn. Because I think this is like they consider 1 and 2, I think. And then, of course, try to come off as close as you can to that and straighten it out and open it up. Now, this is after like 6 or 7 laps. So, this isn't, a fast lap. I was just trying to see how consistent it was and how it was holding up. But still good laps. I shoot for the number 2 here. Right between the 2 and the 3 is what I'm aiming for, because as you see, the track goes off to the right. So I want to come in here and then kind of gradually turn back into the go with the track. And then I usually brake right in between here right before the 1 and go into late apex there. And of course, stay close to the sauce. It's closer you can be to them, and the sooner you're on the gas, it makes a big difference in the lap time. So you definitely want to not brake super late. You want to just have a nice, a little bit later apex, but you mainly want to concentrate on the corner speed and getting on the gas as early as possible. So then I use this all the way up to the 1, right to the end of this curve. Be careful not to run off with your left front. And again, try to cut this as close as I can. Just stay in 3rd. Again, that's really good, right close. Without touching it, run it right out to the end of the white curb. And then here, I brake at the 2, and you can carry a lot of speed through here. I downshift to 2nd and kind of use the brake to help the car rotate. So you do maybe a little trail braking into here to get on the gas early, because you really can carry a lot of speed. You run it right out to the white curb coming off the turn, and if you do it right, you can do carry some good speed through here, like right through there, and just run it right out to the curb. And of course, if you've been with this channel before, for a while, you know that this is probably what, for me anyway, this is just me talking, but one of the hardest turns in ACC, in my opinion, for me, is this turn is just to time it. It's like a blind left. You got a big sausage, so I mean, if you hit that, it's gonna knock you off the track. It's just all kinds of issues. So you really got to practice with this. I've wrecked here. I can't tell you how many times, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody wreck here. So again, you really want to take the time to practice and get this corner right, because it's cost a lot of people their race and ended their day or ruined their race. So, and me including a lot of times. So you want to come up here and come up before the 1. I'm on the brakes. I downshift 1 gear, and a lot of times the best way is you don't want to go too late, because if you try to do it too late and then really cut it in fast to get the drive up the hill, a lot of times the back end of the car will come around and over-rotate, and you're either going to have to catch it or you're going to go off into the dirt. the better way or more consistent way, maybe not the fastest way, but the more consistent way is to brake straight, maybe a little bit of trail braking, but to let it coast just a little bit to where you know you're going to make the turn, and then actually get on the gas early. Get on it as you're going by the sausage. The sooner you can get on the gas to get the drive up the hill, the better you're going to carry the more speed all the way up. So, and you know you're going to make it. You're not going to go off into the dirt or whatever. So, again, you're going to, I'm on the brake. I'm off. And you see I'm back on the gas right there. And again, this is not a fast lap. So the earlier you can get on the gas back here, the more drive you're going to carry. And a lot of times, if you know you're coming right close to it, because you can see I'm feet away. So, I mean, obviously, if I was a lot closer, I could get even on the gas earlier because I know I'm going to make it up the hill. So, again, it all adds up. And, of course, then you go up to the corkscrew, the famous corkscrew, which really, to me, is not that difficult once you get used to it. Come up here, past this 2. I brake straight line, hard braking, down to first, and you want to cut it in close on the first left. And, of course, you can see the pumpkin right here on the tree, which is something you can aim for if you're looking for something, if you need that to help you aim. That's in the real life at Laguna Seca, and, of course, it's simulated here in ACC. They do they cross every T and dot every I tell you. But so you want, you can go either way, but you basically want to do that, straighten it out, and just, upshift pretty quick. Go through here. And, of course, every car, as you're coming through here, you just dab on the brake just to settle the car, get it to maybe a little bit of rotation, and come through here right next to the curb, right out here to the white. I kind of hit the dirt a little bit. And then you get down to second gear next to the curb. And, again, you look at, I'm already full throttle. So, again, that's what you want. You want to be coming by these curbs and be back right on the gas as hard as you can. The more you do that, you're going to gain bunches of time. So get hard on the gas. You can wind out third or fourth, either way, depending on the drive. Then go down to second, or go down to first, but I mean the number 2 marker here, and you're going to, again, brake super hard and try to cut it in right next to the sausage again and open it up as quick as you can. So, you can get on the gas. Don't go too wide, but open it up. And that's a lap. And I think that was a 23:66. So we'll put it all together. Sorry, this video takes a little bit more time. I just want to go over a few things, go over some of the tips that maybe somebody can gain some time on. Be careful through there because the left front will lock up, so be aware of that. If you get in there too deep, too hard, you will lock up the left front, and of course then you'll start tearing that left front up. Beautiful car. I love the Ferrari. I mean, it's really just like, kind of like a lot of reminds me a lot of the, British tracks. Got, a lot of elevation, a lot of technical corners. And of course, the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. I mean, if you really, if you're really tired or worn out or whatever, you might not be as good. But I mean, if you're really wrestling the car and really pushing it, you'll get it out of it. It's just one of those kind of tracks. And that's my fast lap at a 1:23.36. So, I mean, for me, that's a decent time. It equals or betters it by a little bit my old best with the Ferrari. Not my overall best, but my best with the Ferrari. So I'm, before the update and things like that. So I'm happy with that. And I mean, there's more in it. If you had low fuel or it was nighttime, I think you could get into 22s. Because a couple times I had some little bit faster deltas, that, just like the way it is with race fuel. But I mean, obviously, if it was night or really cool, and like I said, you had some low fuel, like under 20 liters, like 15, 20 liters. I mean, there's definitely a good chance you could run it, get into the 22s. So let's look at the setup, because I know this video is already taking a little bit longer. We got 25.6 left front, 26.1 left rear, 25 right front, 25.6 right rear, and again, see the temperature mid 20s, got 25C. And this track is always not super grippy. I don't know if what the simulation is with it, but I guess maybe because it's sandy. You got all the sand from the desert, but I mean, it doesn't feel a lot of grip in it, so you got to keep that in mind, especially as you go along. The toe's negative 0.1 in the front, with the camber at negative 3.4 and the caster at 10.6. Now, I actually had the camber at negative 3.2, and I actually almost liked it a little bit better there, to be honest with you. And I really didn't see any significant. If it lost any performance, it was probably just me. The times were so close that it was pretty much neck and neck. So, but I just kept with the negative 3.4 just to give the tires a little bit more, trying to get some better wear, I guess. Just trying everything I can, because the front tires take a beating here. The toe is negative 0.1 on the rear, with the camber at negative 3.1. And I did try the positive toe, but it seemed like it didn't. It seemed like the rear end was more nervous. So I actually liked it with this. It just seemed a little bit better, so I went with the negative. Electronics, I had it at 3, 4, and 3. And, of course, the map is on 1. So it is on the aggressive map. So, again, that's another good thing, because, usually short tracks, it's put it in beast mode, and it's pretty much a wild animal. So, and I think it handled itself pretty well. Now, when you go out, you can put for the first lap or two, you can put it on 4. I would go up to 4 like that, on my steering wheel, and then just turn it back down, just to give you a little bit extra, safety, as far as, not spinning the tires, things like that when the tires are cold. Of course, fuel, I had 60 liters. Tires were just light graining, nothing major. Again, I really worked on the brakes as trying to get this wear the best I can. And I'm really aggressive with the brake bias, because, again, wearing the fronts more than the rears. Not drastic, but still just a little more than I would prefer. The mechanical got 28 on the anti-roll bar. Brake bias is 51, with a steering ratio at 11. I ran all the way down up to 11, 12, all in there. So that's personal preference. It's not going to really change the setup. It's just how your wheel is, and how much you like to turn the wheel for a reaction. But the brake bias is 51, and that's not a problem at all. You could probably go down to 50, no problem. Springs in the front are 138,600, with a bump stop rate of 800 and a bump stop range of 5. And on the rear, the springs are 134,000, with a bump stop rate of 600 and a bump stop range of 24. Now, I tried a lot of different spring packages, a lot of different bump stop rates and ranges. And the problem with this is if you go, I wanted to go with a heavier spring, because otherwise you bottom out a lot, and that upsets the car, especially coming down the corkscrew. And so I ran the heavier springs, but then it hurts it at other places because it doesn't want to get grip. So, you're understeering like crazy and all this other stuff. So, basically, I liked this way it felt with the softer front spring, so I went with that. And the same thing with the bump stop rates. The ranges, especially if you have wide ranges, then what happens is when it goes down that corkscrew, it hits, and then even going down the hill, it hits again, and you're leaving sparks all over, and it does upset the car a little bit. So I don't like that, especially if you have a heavy fuel load. So basically, I just tightened up the bump stop so it only go down so far. So that was the reason. So if you change that, just be aware of that. Anti-roll bar is 15, and the preload on the diff is 120. And I did a lot of changes through there to get the car to rotate but not slide too much. And of course the diff, I ran some more and less, and I settled for that. It felt like a good happy medium. The shocks on the front are 4, 4, 5, and 4 on the left front. Now that's the left front. On the right front, it's 4, 4, 8, and 6. So again, that's different because probably going down through the corkscrew and things like that, the right and left are a lot different. Going over a lot different areas as far as the contouring of the track. So again, I'm just doing what Motec is telling me to do. So, and I think it did help a little bit going down the hill. I think it helps with the settling of the car and not upset, the bottoming out and just more control. So I think it did help. But again, it's close. I'm sure there's always could be adjustments, but it's close. On the rear, it is on the left rear it's 3.275, and on the right rear it's 3.265. So again, just a little bit more rebound on the right rear for whatever reason, but I'm just going by what Motec is telling me. So aero, I got 62 in the front, 64 in the rear with a maxed out 14 wing and a 4 and a 4 and the brake ducts. And the front aero variation is a negative 2.3. So again, I got a little bit of ride height in the rear to help the car rotate. You really got to have some to get it to go around some of these corners. Of course, it's got max wing, so it's keeping the back end decent, and that's why I got all the brake bias with the max wing, trying to get the front tires to wear as much as I can get them to wear, so they're not so far behind the fronts. So because it just destroys the fronts. But of course, you need the ride height here because otherwise you get all the one, if you do clip a sausage. So let's say you just barely, you don't just flat run over it, but you do just, you hit it a little bit. Well, you got to have some of the ride height here so it doesn't you have a chance of saving the car. Otherwise, if you run it real low, it's just gonna, if I ran it down around 59 or 60, it would just destroy the car. You wouldn't even have a chance. It'd go flying up in the air and go all over. And the same thing with going down the corkscrew. If you're going down the corkscrew, it would just hit so hard, it would just be ridiculous. You'd be just rolling the dice if you would make it one time and the next time you wouldn't. So, the performance is still good. So I think here it's a lot more consistent. Also, I was running within those 7 laps. I was running there at the end. I was running within a 2 or 3 tenths for 7 laps, all in the 23s. So I don't think that, again, I think that's all right. I think that's decent. That's decent for me. So I hope you enjoy the setup. I hope you like it. Any feedback or comments are always welcome. And, of course, I hope you give me a like and subscribe. And, of course, watching the videos support because it's all that YouTube stuff, just like the like and subscribing. It really helps the little channel. And also, of course, I'll have a link to this setup in the description. And, of course, I have a PayPal link if you want to help support the channel that way, which is great. And thank you to everybody that has. And I appreciate it. And I sure hope you come back and visit again really soon. Y'all take care. See ya.